I want to get started right away and introduce District 4 Councilmember Jeff Bluebaugh. We spent a lot of time over a lot of years working on this project. It's really been great results. We've had a lot of people involved for almost 20 years now, which he'll talk a little bit about, but I'll turn it over to Councilmember Bluebaugh, and then I'm going to say a few words. There is some water here. If anybody needs water in that cooler back there, help yourself. Leslie's handing out something that we put together that kind of talks about the history of the project. Make sure you get one of those before you leave. But after Councilmember Bluebaugh's talks, I want to thank some people involved with the project, and then we're going to hear from a property owner. So with that, I'll let you have it.
Thank you, Gary, and thank you everyone for coming today. Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Jeff Bluebaugh, and it's my honor to be dedicating a much-needed and long-planned-for project in our community. As we look at making Wichita the best that it can be, new buildings and events are exciting. Paul McCartney's coming to town tonight, and downtown is ripe with construction. But it's projects like this that cement our infrastructure and lay the groundwork for a well-ran and vibrant city. Improvements to Meridian were first considered as far back as 1995 as looking at a long-term drainage solution. This dedication ceremony is a culmination of two separate projects with over $16 million in total funding to improve one of the worst areas in town, which in turn caused severe pavement deterioration. This corridor along Meridian from Pawnee to McCormick was historically one of the worst drainage areas in the city due to the lack of any kind of formal drainage. The two projects contributed to the improvements you see today. The need for a significant drainage outfall facility from the Arkansas River was first identified in a study in 1995. In 2011, the City Council voted to allocate funding to this project, recognizing the long-standing flooding issues along this and the pavement. And I would like to take an opportunity to, Michael, if you come up here, I'd like to shake your hand. If everybody could give Michael a big round of applause. My predecessor, this was a big push of his before he got on the council, and to hear that through my election, so I want to make sure we recognize Michael for his efforts. Thank you very much, Michael. The drainage outfall project, constructed generally along Doris Street with approximately 761-acre basin into the Arkansas River, providing relief to the Meridian corridor and adjacent neighborhoods, as well as providing relief to existing drainage system along Pawnee. The total $6.6 million construction cost for the drainage improvements was eventually provided by Stormwater Utility and City at Large funding. Once the drainage project was underway, design of paving improvements could begin. The existing pavement along Meridian from Pawnee to McCormick had deteriorated for many years due to lack of drainage in this area. Construction for paving improvements began in January 2014, improving the roadway of 5 lanes and upgraded sidewalks and intersection improvements at Harry. The project was completely finished early in the summer of 2017 with a total cost of $7.9 million, which included a $2.4 million in City at Large funding and $5.5 million in federal transportation funds administered through the Kansas Department of Transportation. Construction of the drainage and the paving improvements included over 3 miles of storm sewer culvert and pipe, 53 curb inlets, almost 900 tons of steel, and over 30,000 cubic yards of concrete. I want to thank our excellent city staff for helping to complete this crucial piece of infrastructure and the citizens for being patient. Without this project, District 4 would be all wet. So I appreciate you guys coming out here today. I appreciate the patience of all the business owners, city staff, the construction companies, everybody else. So let's give them all a big round of applause.
I'm trying to keep this going. I want to, as Councilmember Bluebaugh mentioned, we started looking at the need for improvements in this area as far back as 1995, recognizing that there were some serious drainage issues. But, you know, we've got a lot of priorities across this city. The city's continuing to grow, and it was especially at that time. And we've obviously got finite resources, so it wasn't something that just wasn't able to move to the top of the priority list. I became involved myself all the way back in 2005 when we started looking at paving improvements along Meridian. That's when we recognized we could not do that without fixing the drainage first. But the funding was still not available. So it's really great to be here today. I know for me, and talking to Tyler Voth a little bit ago, who was involved with the design work, there were times when we thought this thing is never going to happen, it's never going to get done. So it's really nice to be here today. Projects like this, especially one of this size, as a council member mentioned, a total project cost of over $16 million. They don't just happen without a lot of efforts with a lot of great people being involved daily for a lot of years. And I want to recognize those people today. Hopefully I don't miss anybody. First and foremost, I want to reiterate something that the council member said and thank the property owners, the area residents that live here, the people that travel this every day for their patience and dealing with us as we work through this project. I also want to thank Councilmember Blueball, the rest of the City Council, our City Manager Bob Layton, County Commissioner Michael O'Donnell, who was a previous council member who started the ball rolling to make sure we had funding for this project, and their commitment to making sure that this happened. We had a great design consultant I mentioned already, who worked through a complex drainage design before developing the plans for paving. Baughman Company, and Tyler Voth is here today. Thank you, Tyler. I know you and I spent a lot of time together. I know you spent a lot of time with staff, and without your efforts, we wouldn't have gotten here. We had a lot of city staff involved in this project. It handed off. I was involved at one time. I handed it off to others. It went through different people at different times. We've got a great design group that works through a lot of things with regulatory agencies. We had to work with the railroad. Obviously, we work with property owners. There's a lot of things that go into these projects that are really complex that most people don't see. All they see is the finished product. Sean Melius, our chief design engineer, is here. Tim Davidson was our project manager and the guy that really got this through and got it wrapped up. We have, during these projects, a lot has to happen for property acquisitions, and we've got a great real estate team with the city. And John Philbrick is here and Jerry Ford. Thank you for what you've done. It's a collaborative effort with those two on every project. We work through a lot of details in changing design, trying to limit the impact to property owners, and they've always been great for us to work with. And then construction oversight, which is really what it comes down to. Steve Degenhardt's our chief seeing over our construction division. Greg Ballman was our project engineer, is here, and then Tim Anthus was our on-site inspector, the guy who made sure everything got done on a daily basis. So thank you guys. Last but not least, and I wanted to mention too, I missed one. Leslie Hicks is our right-of-way and utility coordinator. She works on a variety of things throughout projects. She helps us stay in contact with property owners, with right-of-way acquisitions, dealing with utilities, which is a big deal. Leslie also helped organize this event. Thank you, Leslie, for doing that. She does a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see, and I appreciate her efforts. Last but not least, I want to thank the contractors, the people who got this done. Our first project was the drainage. It was something we never thought we would get done because of the cost and what it was going to take to get from the river over to here. Once we got to a point of construction, we had a great contractor in Wildcat Construction that helped us work through some real complex issues. Projects of this size are never simple. We had some things we had to deal with throughout, and they were great to work with. Roger McClellan is here with Wildcat. Thank you, Roger, for your efforts. And then the paving project that we could not do until the drainage got done. This is a big project, needless to say. Kansas Paving was our contractor. They've done a lot of work for us over the years. Larry and Terry, our hacker here, thank you guys for your efforts, working with the citizens, working with us. Obviously a great product here that we're all really proud of, and thank you for everything that you've done. I want to thank you all again for being here today. Before we wrap things up, Andy White, the owner of the liquor store here, is going to talk to us a little bit from a property owner's perspective, and then we'll be able to wrap things up. So I'm going to let Andy say a few words.
Hi, I'm Andy White, and I bought the liquor store in March 2015. Back then the road was very rough getting up and down it. I actually worked here from 1984 to 2002, and I've literally watched cars float down the road during this drainage. This is very, very great. I've seen the pipes that they put underneath the ground. You could walk through them, they're so big. And I'm sure that's going to alleviate the flooding problems. I really appreciate everybody's help. And great road. I want to thank Tim Anthus for putting him through all the questions I had for him through the project. I stopped him, jumped in his truck. When they having this done? When they getting this done? And thanks, Tim. Appreciate it. And that's about all I got. It's hot out here. Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Andy. One more quick thing. I'd be remiss if I did not do this before I get away. My boss is here, and I wasn't expecting him to be here. Our Public Works and Utilities Director, Alan King, the guy that keeps all of this going at the same time. And I wanted to recognize Alan and thank you for your support in what we do. So that was the one I meant to get, and I almost did not get in there. So thank you again for being here. All of you are involved in this great project. It's really a success. This is what we do on a daily basis, but it's nice to be able to come together once in a while and recognize what it is that we're doing with the taxpayer dollars and really making a difference and making these improvements. So thanks again. Help yourself to some water. Make sure you get one of those handouts that we put together. It's got some really cool information on it that's got a history of this project and everything that we've been through. So thank you again.